Welcome back, Salsa23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today I have for you the Terrain 365 Otter Flip AT Full TI. This knife comes in at $329, and let's get some specs out of the way so you can have an idea of how big or how small this knife actually is. You have a total length of 6.9 inches, so it's going to be in that small to medium range. You have a blade length of 3 inches, so it's going to be legal in a lot of areas that have 3 inch and under blade laws. You have a grip area from right here to the back of 3.25 inches, so it's a smaller handle grip. You have a pretty darn slim handle thickness at 0.47 inches, and close width in the pocket from here to here of 0.98 inches. You have a stock thickness of 0.115 inches, so not too thick. And my particular knife is ground around 17 thousandths, sharpened at 24 degrees per side. All right, before we go any further, let's break off some cutting footage and see how well this Otter Flip does. All right, we're gonna test factory sharpness. I know Terravantium was supposed to keep a working edge for a while. We're gonna see. It came razor sharp. All right, it sliced very well. It did feel like it started to dull up some, a little bit. Let's see. It still has that razor edge. Yeah, it's not as sharp as it was before, but it's still sharp. All right, we're gonna test the ergos and how well the knife still bites in this pine 2x4. Alrighty, it did okay. As skinny as this handle was, I was having to really hold on to it so it didn't spin in my hand, and it was really fatiguing my forearm. And it didn't seem to be biting as well as the rest of the knives today, but let's see. Still sharp. There we go. All right, we're gonna cut some of this 1/2 inch twisted sisal rope. I'm gonna shoot for 20 cuts. May do more, may do less. All right, stopped at 20 cuts. It was doing okay. Now my hands are extremely tired right now. This is the 6th knife of the day, and my hands are shaking. It's definitely lost some of its sharpness. I can feel it kind of grabbing when I get toward that tip. Right there. And right up in the front of the tip. So not bad, but it is starting to dull up some. All right, we're gonna cut up some apple. So I get so many requests to do this. It cut the apple. Alrighty, I hope y'all enjoyed that cutting footage. Let's get a closer look at this knife. You have just that classic spear point blade. That's completely sterile, no markings at all, except on the top. You have the blade material is Terravantium. Terravantium is a trade name for dendritic cobalt, and it's not really a steel, it's a cast formed material. And the good thing about it is it's completely impervious to the elements, cannot rust, it doesn't have any carbon in it, and it's supposed to keep a toothy edge for a while. And I'm still unsure about that, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. I love that nice top swedge right there. I don't know what it is about that blade shape. I just love it. Has that traditional Barlow looking pattern on there, and I've always liked that pattern in particular. You do have a fine row of jimping right there that does grab onto the finger, but it's not too sharp. You have somewhat of a sharpening notch. It does clear that plunge, as you can see, but as soon as you sharpen it, it will widen up on you. Close it up. You also have jimping on that flipper tab. That's decently comfortable, and it comes rocketing out. This thing is riding on, it's riding on ceramic bearings, so the action's very nice. You can push button it, but it's a lot more comfortable to do the light switch. Let's close it back up. As you can see, you do have a landing pad right there for when you flip the knife that has been cut in. That's always a nice touch. You have a full-length back spacer that has a hidden lanyard post back here. I love that. It didn't break up the lines, kept it nice and clean. And as you can see, you don't have any body hardware on this side. And you have your pivot right here. These scales have been fully contoured, so they're nice and comfortable in hand. You also have about a 1-to-1 blade to handle ratio, packing as much blade as they could into that handle. And as you can see, it's pretty darn, it looks pretty darn centered. It may have be off to the right a little bit, but it could have been through my testing, so I won't fault it on that. Let's see, no blade play side to side or up and down whatsoever. You do not have a lock bar insert, but the lock face has been carbonized. The lockup on my particular knife is around 60%. That doesn't bother me as long as it doesn't travel over any further, but I'm sure the guys over at Terrain 365 would take care of me. The access to that lock bar is pretty comfortable and easy to get to, because they have that little cutout right here and a chamfer on that lock bar to disengage. You do have a 3D milled contoured titanium pocket clip that has good retention, good spring to it, goes in and out of the pocket nicely. Let's see, I don't have my normal pocket to use, but we will use this sheet of paper right here. So it's not a deep carry clip, but a good bit of it sits in the pocket. You can grab onto that bolt, that screw right there area, and pull it out the pocket. I had no problems getting in and out of the pocket, and they also have their logo on the pocket clip, Terrain 365. Much rather see that than it on the blade. That's a very nice touch. Let's see. The ergos, for me, were fairly nice. I mean, for how slim and how small the knife was, it performed decently, and it was rather, comfortable in hand, being it has those contoured scales, but it is a straightforward broomstick style handle, so as comfortable as that could be. Let's see, anything else that I miss? Your hardware, you have T8 pivot, T6 body screws, and I don't have many knives because I'm traveling to my mom's house to do this video, so I didn't have a lot of knives with me. So the only two that were around, I have the CJRB large feldspar. As you can see, it's a good bit smaller than large feldspar. And I also have the drop.com Falcon. The Falcon's a lot better of a size reference for the Otter Flip, but the Falcon is a little bit shorter. All right, so what were my overall thoughts on the knife? You know, it performed okay. You know, the cobalt steel, the dendritic cobalt, it's cool and all, but the one thing that kind of drew me to the knife besides the aesthetics, the price point, $329 in my opinion, is way too steep for what you're getting here. This steel doesn't perform as nicely as LC200N in my opinion from the knives that I've had two knives in this steel already, and I've tested both of them, and they were both factory edges, but I don't know if this steel gets any better after sharpening or not, being this is a cast steel. I don't really know. I have not sharpened this yet, and I have not sharpened my other one yet, so I can't speak on the sharpening at all. I was told you could sharpen it with diamond sharpeners, and I'm sure you could probably send it back to them to sharpen. I'm not certain on that. I'll have to find out about that. Mine also came with some lock stick. I did figure out what was going on. The face of the lock, the carbonization was a little bit rough, so I just took some very fine sandpaper and just kind of knocked off the ridges so it would mate smoothly. And now I have absolutely no stick, and it's still in the same exact spot since I got it. And like I said before, the edge retention hasn't really wowed me. Now, I probably should have waited because I'm sure they're going to do kind of like they did with they got a detent version of the detent slip joint version of this knife now, and they have it in carbon fiber. So I'm sure they'll do a Prometheus version with carbon fiber and M390. That's more enticing to me, and I just couldn't wait. So if I had to choose, that's what I would go for, depending on the price. It's hard for me to recommend this one unless you just can't live without it. It functions nicely, but like I said, the Teravantium just hasn't wowed me. I much prefer LC200N over this, in my humble opinion. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolutely wonderful day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.